Hey everyone, it's Pion, and I'm trying something different today. It's quite a bit different. Well, I don't know. I mean, programming is not that like off color for me, I guess. Like my most successful YouTube series is a programming tutorial after all, and I play lots of programming themed games. So I guess doing some real programming is not like completely out of the ordinary. So viewers of my channel might have noticed that well, there's a lack of content recently. I didn't upload any videos the last few months, really. I guess probably. I don't know. I didn't check. Reason for it the reason is that I'm busy with other things. Main reason is that I'm in the due process alpha right now, and you might know that I'm very hyped for that game. And well, most of the time the server is not actually up, so that's not what I'm doing most of the time. Well, that's what I'm doing on the weekends, but during the week it's usually not playtime. So that's only part of the reason why I'm not doing many videos, or no videos at all. The main reason is that I use all the rest of the time to actually write like a program. Like I'm doing some programming because I'm writing like a Discord Matchmake Board. So the goal of the bot is to make it easier to get enough people together to actually play the game when the server's up, because the alpha group is fairly limited right now, and depending on what time you log on, it's hard to get enough people, and the bot is supposed to help with organizing them. Like basically you can tell the bot to like indicate that you're available for a game, and when there are 10 people, the bot can ping all of you and say, hey, you're 10 people, jump in the game. Without you having to have the game open and watch it like a hog all the time. You just wait for the ping and hope that someone else gets on. And there's also like a pinging system where you can opt in, where you can like, when other people are looking for a match, please ping me. So that's another feature of this thing. And yeah, that's what we're doing today, because like I felt like, you know what, I'm gonna sit here and do some programming now anyway, so why not stream it? Maybe someone is interested. It's an experiment. I don't know if people care. If they don't, I'm probably not gonna repeat it, but if it's fun, we'll see. We'll just see. I'm gonna find out. I don't expect a lot of people to stick around, but who knows? Who knows? As I said earlier, as my most successful video ever is like a tutorial video, and a programming tutorial video. So I mean, it's for a programming game, so that's like a different appeal, I guess. But like, this is not really useful for people. Well, that's not true. You can probably learn some tricks here and there. I'm like I'm a professional C# developer, so like, I'm not like a noob in this. in comparison to the scripts tutorials, like where I'm programming in JavaScript, which I have no idea how to use properly. So actually, I probably taught a lot of people like pretty crap programming in these tutorial videos, to be honest. And I'm a little bit more, what's the word? I'm a little bit more, God damn it, what's the fucking word? I don't even can't remember the German word right now. Yeah, like I feel more like I'm convinced that I'm a pretty decent, at least, C# developer. Like I'm probably not like top tier or whatever, but I'm doing this professionally for a while now, and so I know my ways around. Let's put it that way. And I'm interested in having like interesting and cool architectures in your software and stuff. So that's a bunch of stuff. Like, I could probably have written what I have here in way less time if I would not have like focused on having like an interesting architecture and trying out different things, like different ways of doing the architecture thing, and like arranging the classes and whatnot. Like, I spent a lot of time on that just because it's fun to me. It's not necessarily like it's good if you're if you're planning on using this software or maintaining this software for a long time. Then like every hour you put into like making it more maintainable by having a good architecture and other stuff, like is worth the effort, because it will pay back double and triple and tenth the time, like in the long run. But that's probably not true for this project. Like there's like having some basic maintainability is obviously good and worth the effort. But I did a lot of things in here just because I wanted to try it out and play around with it, and because as I said, think it's fun. And like I'm not doing this like for work. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just doing this for fun, basically. And like the only like payment I get is like making it a little easier for myself to get a game when I want to play due process. So I guess that's my payment. And therefore I'm trying to have fun while doing so, and I have fun while programming. But I have more fun when I'm actually like doing interesting architecture stuff and not like the actually programming. Like the actually writing of lines of code is not that fun to me. It's more fun for me to think about what classes should go where and what should be in them and how should they call each other and whatnot. And so yeah, I'm probably gonna talk a bunch about that kind of stuff. So if you're into that, stick around maybe. If you're not, if this sounds super boring to you, well, don't worry, just turn off. Because that's what's gonna happen, and I don't blame you for it. Like, programming can be pretty dry, but yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Hey, wait, why is my Steam chat not connected? Log in to join. Why can I not log in? Please. A little bit different. Go there, log in. Give me a sec. I'm gonna give you like an overview over the thing in a moment. Go with the program. As soon as I get technical stuff out of the way here. I hate this. Like Steam has this really weird thing. Like if you have a Steam, like if you use your phone to like, what's the word? Oh god damn it. I'm struggling for words tonight. Like if you use your phone, your Steam app on your phone as an authenticator. What's the freaking word? Think of it right now. Two-factor authentication, that's the word. Then usually if you press login on the Steam page, it should give you like a notification on your phone with the code you have to put in. But like in around 50% of the time, it doesn't actually do that, and you have to manually open the Steam app and go to the thing where it shows you the code, which is really annoying. But let's not complain about Steam, and instead let's talk about that. Where should I start? I didn't make a plan for this. This is might be a little bit chaotic. I guess we start at the start. Actually, yeah, why not? Why not? So this is a Discord bot. So it uses the discord.net library, which is available for free and open license and whatnot on GitHub and NuGet. And this started out like as a very simple, like pretty badly written program, because I was like, this is probably going to be used for like 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 2 months. And after that, it's not going to be necessary anymore. Well, that changed. It's going to be used for a little longer probably, so it makes sense to keep it maintainable. That's why I did put some effort into refactoring stuff. But some stuff is still like lying around, and it's just dirty. This is a good example of this. This is not nice, but it works. And I'm not going to touch it because there's no real benefit of touching it right now. So I have a bunch of configuration stuff just right in my program, my program class, which is the main class, so the entry point to the program, and it's just like it switches configuration based on a debug flag. So either I'm running this in debug mode on my local PC, and then I get like the test settings, or I run this in release mode on the server, and it runs in the production settings. And this is obviously not how you should do this usually. Like usually you put this kind of stuff in a config file and read the config file and do it that way. That's way cleaner, has lots of advantages. I'm not gonna explain all of those, but there's lots of advantages to this. But it's a little bit more complicated to do. It's a little bit more effort. And for my special use case, like my specific use case here, it's just not necessary because I run this program in exactly 2 modes. I either run it locally on my end in debug mode to test stuff, or I run it in production mode on the server. And only for like one specific server. Like I have the Discord server ID in here. Wait, I noticed you can see my tokens now. This sucks. This is a problem. Guess I'm gonna have to. Have to move that from the VOD. That's not good. Well, let's not scroll up again. Well, maybe a bit. Can scroll up a bit. Too far. No, that's too far. Please don't steal my bot. Like, it's not even a big deal. If you do it, I'm just gonna create a new one and and take the token from that one. Or I just can recreate the token, actually. That's way easier. So I'm not gonna worry about it. If you steal my token, I'm just gonna regenerate one and fuck you. So let's not worry about that. Just don't steal it. It's not gonna give you anything. Like, it's not give you access to the bot or whatever. It just lets you, like, you could write it about yourself and like run message through it, but there's no benefit. You're not gonna gain anything off it. So if you have fun annoying me, sure, feel free. Let's not worry about that too much. So as I said, I have the Discord settings specifically set up for one server here and stuff like that. That's not how you would do it if you would like write a general purpose bot. But this bot is very specific for one specific use case, and that's the due process alpha matchmaking right now. And you could probably generalize it and make it like more general purpose and more like useful for other games and stuff. But that would require a bunch of effort, and I'm not willing to put that in right now. I might do it eventually, maybe, probably not, to be honest. Like, the system is not working, like, it's not super useful. That's what I'm like. It helps a bit with matchmaking, but it's not like it's not actually, yeah, it's not super useful. So I don't think it's like a big, like, it's not worth to put in a lot of effort to make this like available for other games, because there's probably not like much demand for it. As I said, I'm mostly doing this to have like, because it's fun to me. So yeah, this is not how you would do this normally. This is just me being lazy as fuck. So yeah, we have like a server UI ID here, the token for the bot. Please don't steal. Then I don't actually need this anymore. This is a specific role on the server. Then there's a specific channel, or 2 specific channels on the server. And I actually can show you, like, this is my local test setup. This is my own channel. Like, it's called Pion because it's mine. And basically, this is the queue channel and the bot channel. So this is the, I've called the Matchmake channel and bot channel here, I think so. So this channel, the queue room, is the Matchmake channel, and this is the bot channel. And so there are 2 specific channels the bot is operating in, and ignores the rest of the server. And like, as I said, only goes to one server. So that's some basic setup. Then we have the run function over here, or the main function over here, which calls the run function, which is not actually useful anymore. There was a reason for this. There isn't anymore. I could just like move all of this into the main function, in the main method. That would just work right now, but there was a reason for it. I'm not going to go over it right now, but I did never changed it back, so it doesn't hurt. Like, it's actually, like, it's kind of nice, I guess. Not really. It's just pointless, but let's keep it that way. It doesn't really hurt. A bunch of stuff as I said, a bunch of stuff I'm doing is like a little dirty or like left over from the start, because in the beginning I just used like the Discord.net classes. Like the Discord.net library has a bunch of classes like for users, channels, messages, servers, whatnot. And I just used them as my main model classes, basically, because I was like not worried about like having any sort of decent architecture. I changed that around a bit, but it's still like the Discord stuff is still pretty, it's not that deep in anymore. It would be pretty easy to rip it out right now, but it's still in there. But the current setup makes it easy to rip it out. But as I said, it's still in there, and you will find it in certain places. And the startup function is definitely one of them, where you do like a bunch of dirty setup. So this class is basically the dirtiest of the classes I have. Like, starting here is probably like showing you my worst code in this whole project. Yeah, this is not an overview. I'm going way too much into detail. If I wanted to get to programming, I should speed up a little bit. Basically, we're getting like the server going, the bot started, and getting the right channels and stuff in variables, so we can give it to my program, and then start a bot by setting up an event, so the bot can listen to messages So the Discord message receive event is gonna get handled by the message receive, or it's gonna trigger the message receive method of the bot. So let's talk about the bot, because that's the core thing of the thing, the core thing of the thing. Yeah, that's a good sentence. So the Matchmake Board is the core class. Like, it has like all the important things. It's basically the hub. It doesn't actually do much. It's mainly like a delegator, I guess. It delegates a lot of information and stuff from A to B. And it knows a bunch of handlers that do different things. It knows the 2 channels it operates on, and has like a constructor where it takes all the different things and whatnot. And it has some events that it triggers, so other things can subscribe to it. And then it has one important method, which is the message receive method, which basically calls the command parser who parses the message, tries to make a command of that message. The commands are classes I designed there somewhere here. There are all the commands that are available, and then it calls the right handler to do something with the command, and then it calls the response handler to write them, like get a message back to the user, basically. This used to be a bit different. Like, originally I had it the way that the handlers themselves were like writing messages to the channel whenever they deemed necessary, and that seemed reasonable at first. Like, basically you could set up like an event that when 10 people were available for matchmaking, then a message would be sent to the channel that says, hey, you're 10 people again in the game right now. But it turned out that that sounds reasonable at first, but it's actually not when you get to it. The reason is that I want to have like one response to every command from a user experience point of view, and that response should have needs all the information, all the information, or to write this response, you need all the information available. All the information that is available to the bot to make decisions on how this response should look like, because there's a bunch of different situations where the same command triggers different responses. So I decided to change all of that and make all the other handlers or all the regular handlers just change their state but not actually trigger messages, and then have one specific response handler that actually takes a look at the current state and then writes a message back to the user. So that's how this is right now. This is dirty. The send help command is actually sending its own message instead of getting to the response handler. That should not be. That's that's because this was I just resurrected it. It was an old thing that got ripped out, and then I decided I still want it and got it back in and didn't set it up properly. I just kept it the way it was before. So that's dirty, but whatever. And yeah, so that's the main meat of this bot. And then he has that's an interesting design I decided to try out, and so far I'm pretty happy with it. Basically, the other handlers, they need a bunch of information. There's a bunch of information that has to be shared between the handlers, but there's the matchmake handler, which is about all the matchmaking stuff, people join up and checking if there's enough people and stuff like that. And there's the ping handler, which resolves around all the the opt-in feature where people can opt in to get pinged. I probably should show off the bot a little bit, shall we? Before I go talk more of that. Let's just start it up and then go to Discord and show you what's happening. So you can't see the command, the command, but it doesn't matter. Let's switch the browser really quick. Oh yeah, you didn't saw that earlier either when I talked about it. So this is my private Discord server, which I'm using for testing. And this is the bot channel. This is the Matchmake channel. And basically, so the bot is up now, and what I can do now is I can tell the bot that I want to join for matchmaking, and the bot will tell me, hey, joined for matchmaking, which is my nickname here, because I changed that when I realized that Discord is having a nickname, a username and a nickname, and I tried it out to figure out which which property I have to use in the Discord.net library. And it says, yeah, we need 9 more players. So use join to join. So other people can now join as well. I could leave right now. Or it will also update a message in this thing here where it shows like one currently looking for a match, la la la. And then I could do leave to make it remove me from that list. And what I also can do is I can like join, and I can go need 4. And this will tell the bot that we need actually 4 more players. Like the issue I'm trying to circumvent with this is that people didn't, like not all people used the bot. So there were like 5 people online and wanted to play, but only 2 of them actually told the bot that they joined for matchmaking. And so the bot said, hey, we need 8 more, but we actually only needed like 5 more. And so this command basically creates a bunch of fake users. So it says now la 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 and 5 others, but it doesn't specify who the 5 others are looking for a match. And that's how it works. And I can cancel matchmaking by doing stop. Or what I can also do is to join and then go need. Actually, you don't have. That's also a nice little trick. Like, well, let's leave again. As soon as I use need, it like includes a join. So if I do need 4, it will join me up automatically, even though I didn't use the join command. What I can do now is like say need 0, we're done, we have enough people, and it says like, yeah, you have enough players, and pings everyone. Or I can use stop to cancel the matchmaking without pinging anyone. And alternatively to that, or additionally to that, there's this ping opt-in feature where you can say ping on, and when now another player will actually use the join command, it will ping you and tell you, hey, someone is looking for a match. And there are a bunch of filters you can set up and stuff like that, so like it's a little bit more complicated than that. As you can see, there's a bunch of ping commands with different things, and there's like a cooldown and whatnot, and you can filter it for like only ping me when there are at least X players around and stuff like that. So that's how it works. That's how it works. And so let's get back to this. And so those are the 2 different main thingies the bot's doing right now. Well, there's a third thing, but we're going to talk about that later. And then there's the response handler. And as I said, they kind of need information, like they have to share information to each other. Mostly the response handler needs a bunch of information from the other 2 to make decisions on what the response should look like, but I don't want it to couple them to like tightly. So I didn't like gave the response handler like a reference to the matchmake handler and the pinging handler, because that's not what I wanted to do. And instead, what I did is like I wrote an interface called iResponseInfoProvider, which basically has like defines all the things the response handler needs. So the response handler has to know which players are matchmaking right now, how many players are matchmaking, so including this is not redundant, this is including the fake players, then which players are pingable right now, and what the matchmake channel is and what the ping channel is, so he knows where to send messages. Those 2 are the same, by the way, right now, as you can see. This just like I was like, maybe I want to split that up at some point, but so far it's the same channel. And I defined this interface. Actually, that's not the interface here. This is just the implementation of it. Interface is over here. So I defined this interface, and then I said the Matchmake Board will implement this interface. Because the Matchmake Board knows all the handlers, so he can like delegate that information. Like he takes the matchmake handler queue to the players and puts it in the matchmaking players property of the interface. And now when I create the response handler in the constructor over here, what I'm going to do is I'm creating a new response handler and pass it the Matchmake Board itself, which implements this interface, which the response handler expects as a parameter in his constructor. And now he has access to those things without having like a super tight coupling. Like it's still coupled, I guess, but indirectly with like via the Matchmake Board. And so that was an experiment I was doing. So far it works pretty well. I'm not sure if it makes like if it's gonna break together like when it's getting more complicated, but right now it works fairly well and decouples things quite nicely actually. Yeah, it's an experiment. Let's call it that way. Let's call it that. So that's what's happening here. So I could go into the matchmake handler and the ping handler and the response handler now, but that's not what I want to focus on right now. So that was a short overview. So there's another feature the bot is doing, and actually no. There's another feature I'm going to mention right now, but I actually want to go to the ping handler. But so there's another feature I'm logging stats. So the bot has access to a backend API I have to make sure to not show you that URL because that is not public, and Primal is gonna hit me in the head when I share it. So the bot has access to the number of players online on the server actually, and he displays that number in the name of the channel here over here. So it shows 1 player is online right now because probably Primal is like testing stuff and therefore he's online. So the bot has access to that. So I decided to use that information to create some stats. So basically, on a regular interval of I think 1 minute. No, well, yeah, 1 minute. The bot gets that information, and if it has changed, it will save it. Like from last time, it will save it to a MongoDB, so to a database. So it persists the information and like get a nice graph of players online over time, which is kind of neat. So the next thing, or the biggest issue right now the bot has, is that you have a bunch of options to set up your ping stuff, and you opt into it, and you set up a bunch of filters and stuff. But it's all in memory. So as soon as the bot dies or restart it or whatever, that information is lost. So people opt in to the pinging system, but they get, well, kicked out by me restarting the bot, and they never opt in again, and therefore not a lot of people opt in total, which makes the pinging feature, well, less useful than it should be. So what I was working on the last time I worked on this is that I tried to persist the pinging information. So let's talk about the ping handler really quick to show you how it works, and I'm going to continue doing that. So basically the ping handler has like a collection somewhere, user ping info collection, which is a custom class I wrote. Let's talk about the, let's take a look at that. So this is where the ping handler stores all the pinging information. So if you go in there, this is basically a wrapper for it, or it is an Ienumerable. I implemented the interface, and it basically is that. It's a bit like a fancy list of user ping infos, basically. And it implements Ienumerable, as you can see here. And user ping info is the class that saves the information about pinging for one user. So it saves the user and has various filters over here that are then being used to determine if the user should get a ping or not. So that's mainly like a DTO. It has a method, I guess. It's not a DTO, but for the most part it is. So it has a bunch of information, and this is a list of those things, like captured in a nice collection that has some extra features like a what's the name? Selector? No. Indexer. Like an indexer for it, and implements Enumerable, and has like helper properties that give an event, a helper property ping all players, and like an event that is getting raised. That event is new though, because that's for the persistency stuff. So basically, whenever someone turns ping on, the handler asks the list, is a ping info list. So do you have information about that player already? If yes, please give them to me. If no, create them and then give me that. And so there's a helper method over here. It's actually being used. So it uses the index, and the index is actually written that way. So oops, that's not the indexer. Can I get to the indexer this way? I guess I can't. I guess we do it this way. So the index is written in a way that it tries to get the user ping info. If it doesn't find it, it creates it and then returns the thing. So this method gets the user ping info for the player and then changes it. That changes the filters for it and calls it a day. And then the response handler will use that information to ping the player if necessary. So there's a isPingAllowed method that checks if the filters are actually triggered and stuff. So that's how this works. So now the goal was to persist those user ping info thingies. So I'm not actually sure what the current state of that is. Like, I didn't touch this for a few days. So let's take a look. So the idea is to do this via events. I had some reasoning behind that. I'm not sure if it's the optimal solution, but that's what I decided to do in the end. So if you take a look here, there's a new user ping info created event that is getting triggered whenever a new user ping info is created. Makes sense. And I think that's just delegated. Is it? Yeah, that's just delegated to a new event. Actually, no, that event has multiple purposes. It's not doing that yet, though. Oh no, it is. Yeah, right. So there's this user ping info changed event in the pinging handler That's basically supposed to trigger whenever information about a user ping info has changed. So either it has been created or a filter has been updated. And it does so by like getting triggered in this method, and whenever like the collection is saying, hey, I've got a new user ping info thingy. And then I want to subscribe to that event, or actually I did do that already, I think, and persist the information. So where do I do that? Well, we can check, go to references, pinging handle Matchmake Board somewhere. So yeah, okay, I just delegated again, like the bot has a user ping info changed event as well that just subscribes to that, and like it's just a wrapper basically. And then all that stuff is being used in the data access handler, which is like not part of the main thing. Like this is the domain model, like this is all the business logic here, this is the bot and stuff, and the data access stuff is not part of the domain logic because it's data access stuff, so it's application logic. So it got moved outside of that folder and namespace. And basically there's a data access handler that handles all the data stuff, so the access to the MongoDB. And it subscribes to the event that a ping info has changed with the method. And if you check that method, it basically takes that user ping info and puts it in the database. So I don't have dedicated like my model classes, like my business model classes, like the user ping info thingy, for example. Like I use them, like I don't have specific classes just for persisting them in a database. I didn't want to get MongoDB information in that class either, so I have to separate this a little bit in a tricky way. So basically, I wrote a custom mapper. I'm not sure if this is the good way, but that's what I decided to do anyway. I mean, that's true for all of this. Like, I'm never sure that what I'm doing is the best thing you could do, but it's what I thought would be a good idea at the time I wrote it. So basically, I didn't want to write an extra DTO thing or whatever, or like a database entity or whatever. But I didn't want to have specific like attributes or whatever in my model classes either. So I ended up to just have a custom mapper, so a custom serializer and deserializer for MongoDB. I'm using the MongoDB.NET driver, which I can highly recommend. Like, it's really good actually. It has some quirks, but that's just because MongoDB has some quirks. Like the driver itself is pretty neat for the most part. Like, it's a nice compromise because it has a bunch of very high-level functions or methods. Or features in general, like has a lot of high-level features like with link and whatnot, but also allows to go like really, really low level. Like it basically gives you access to all the low-level commands like a MongoDB can have, or a MongoDB has available, and it can map all of those. But you can either go like, I'm a MongoDB expert, I know what I'm doing, give me the low-level stuff, I want to do like I want to do it optimally, or you can just like use the high-level features and do it conveniently easy. So that's really nice. I appreciate that approach of writing this driver. So as I said, what I did is like I wrote a custom mapper for the user ping info thing, and I actually wrote one database object so far because I didn't want to the user. I had to switch up the user. I couldn't use the user, but I couldn't fix the user thing with the mapping because I have to, because of deserialization basically. So sure, I could write a custom mapper for a user object that tells the MongoDB, hey, if you get a user object, just save like the ID and dimension and the name to the database and be good. And then I realized, right, that's gonna get me into problems because the user is actually like an iUser, it's like an interface. Like there's an interface iUser which I'm using. So the user ping info doesn't actually have a user, it has an iUser. So actually, now that I think about it, I could probably do it differently. Oh no, it's not gonna work. No, it's not. Okay, it's a little bit complicated, but I don't want to go into detail why I did that right now. Just like, okay, if you have a data user, which is like a simple database entity, which just has like the proper things, and implements iUser, and the user ping info is not using that, but I can use it in the user ping info because user ping info is using an iUser. So basically, I saved the user ping info to the database with this custom mapper, which just like creates maps certain properties, but not all of them. I think those are actually all of them, but whatever. I could like limit it if I wanted to. And then when I deserialize it, like if I that the idea is that like if I deserialize it and like get the object from the database and want to recreate it because like I want to load the settings from the database, then I use this data user, which is not actually like a real user like the user object, because like I have a real user class over here, which is also implemented iUser, which I mainly use. But this is the Discord user. Like this is just a wrapper for a socket user, which is the class from the Discord.NET library. And so what this is doing, yeah, so this wraps just this class. So basically, I get these thingies whenever I get like a message from Discord. The message has a user or an author, and then the author is then one of those thingies and whatnot. So that's done, and I can't recreate them from database because I need the socket user thingy for it, and I can't like not just create that. Like maybe can I? Wait, I'm not sure. Can I? I might. Does the socket user has like a proper public constructor? Doesn't look like it has. Let's just try. New socket user. Nope, there's no constructor, so I could not even like I couldn't create it by hand. Like it's just not a thing you can do. I don't think there's a factory method either, is there? Oh wait, that's not a class, that's Discord.websocket.socket user. No. So there's just no way I could create those. Like I just can't do it. Like there's no API for it. Well, you could probably do it with reflection or whatever, but let's not attempt that. Where did the data access handler go? Close itself. So instead of that, I use the data user when I create a user from the database. And I have some tests for that. They, for the most part, work, I think. So I have a test that saves the database user to the database, and I have one that loads it from the database. Not the database user, like saves the user ping info to the database, and then it loads it. And I had some issue recently. I forgot what it was, though. You really want to use a test user here, though. I could probably change that test to actually use the data user now. That would make sense. Let's do that. So we don't need the test user anymore. Let's get rid of that. The data user. Can probably do it this way. This is a bit ugly, but well, actually not. It's pretty neat. So the data user has a constructor that takes just another user, so you can create it from a user if you want to. So I did use my test user to wrap it in a data user. Not wrap it, but like this is dumb. Did I do this? Yeah, this is the easiest way of doing it. Let's do it that way. So now I'm gonna find out if my test users actually work when I deserialize it, because that's the issue. Like serializing it to the database is easy, but deserializing it is the tricky part. And I think it worked with the test user, but not with the data user. So I just changed the test case basically to run a test case with the data user and see if that actually works. So persist user ping info. Let's debug test. Actually, I should run it because this is going to succeed. So that succeeded. I hate that Visual Studio is not showing like the breadcrumbs for the testing all the time. You have to click them to actually make them show up, which is dumb. And let's see if I actually can load the thing. So let's debug the load user ping info thingy. See what we got. I should probably start up the MongoDB access thingy so I can take a look. So yeah, it crashes at that point, and I'm gonna have to figure out why. Oh yeah, okay, no, that's an issue with my data right now. I'm gonna clear the database really quick. But testing. Just, can I delete the whole thing? Can I just delete the whole thing? Yes, drop. Okay, that worked. Good. So let's run this test again to create a thing in the database. Check if it did it. Wait. Oh, that actually worked. That's not what I wanted. You can't see it right now, but I'm just checking the database. It's doing what I want to. Ooh, and now the program crashed. Okay, that's unfortunate. Again. Yeah, I created a thing. There's a user in there that is a data user. So that's good. So I should now be capable to hopefully load it from a database. Let's see if that works. Looks good. Yeah, this looks good. Seems like it works. Okay. So what was the issue I was actually struggling with the last time I did this? Because this seems to work with tests. So let's actually try this in the wild. So I'm gonna start up the program. Oh wait, I can't do it this way. Wait. Not gonna work. But I can load them now. So maybe I figured out my persistency issues last time already. I'm not sure actually. What I have to do now, yeah, I think the next step is actually like get those things from the database and put them in the pinging handler. So the pinging handler has to, yeah, that's what the next step was actually. I'll solve the other issue already, I think. So what I have to do now is to give the pinging handler, when I create him, access to the database information. So we're just gonna have like an optional parameter of Ienumerable user ping info. Or let's keep it that way. Make it optional. Oh yeah, I'm using C#8 here, by the way. So these are the newest C# features, which is kind of cool. So I'm using like the null reference type, which is really neat. It gives you really cool warnings if you actually screw up nullability, which is kind of neat. If you didn't, like, if you're a C# developer and you didn't check out the C#8 features, go take a look. They're pretty amazing. So I got a user ping info object here now. Now I have to create this user ping info collection with all those users. So I could either add them manually, but I guess the better way to do it is to just like give it the thing here as well. Enumerable. The ping info. Do we make it optional though? Anyway, this is still open. So the pinging handler, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? Like, it doesn't hurt to make it optional. Like, it can just start with an empty one. I mean, I could just like, that's probably better. Just gonna start with an empty list. So enumerable empty is a ping info. Is that how you do it? Nope. Oop. Visual Studio, don't die. That's how you do it, I think. No, doesn't like it. Why not? No, it's the other way around. Why? Oh, it has to be a compile time. Yeah, okay, never mind. Well, let's just do it with null in that case. It's never going to be. I don't have to make it optional here though, because it's never actually going to be. Like what we can do though is to like do this now. User ping infos, or if those are null, enumerable empty ping info. Go. So now it gives those user ping infos to the ping info collection, which now should set up its dictionary in a way. Pingable players is user ping infos to dictionary. Why do I not have system link? Okay. To dictionary, key selector. The key will be the user and the object itself. Why do I need a value selector, or can I just do it this way? I can just do it this way, perfect. And now we don't have to initialize this with an empty one, we just do it this way. There we go. Okay, so far so good. So the ping handler is capable of taking a bunch of user infos on creation now, which is a good start. And now we have to provide that information to it when creating the pinging handler, which happens here. So I used factory thingies here for dependency injection. So you can either just like pass 0 for the handler, or for the factory, which then will just create a new pinging handler, like no questions asked, or you provide like a simple factory method that just creates it for you. So if you want to do like dependency injection for tests, for example, then this is a useful thing to do. But that raises the question now how I do this the best way. So I have an extra parameter for the pinging handler now, which I somehow have to pass into there. So the bot has to take that parameter. It doesn't have to. I might just use the factory. Let me check where I actually call the thing. Okay, so when I create the bot, I don't use the pinging handler factory right now. Oh yeah, because I use this other constructor. Oh no, it's the same. It's just like, it's a pretty convoluted constructor. Ignore all the other things. I guess I add an enumerable user ping info here. Make it optional, probably. And then give it to that one. The question is, do I also give it to this one? Like, do I rewrite the factory to actually take those user ping infos? Because I don't think I want to. Take a look at the bot test really quick. That doesn't use the factory either. It's probably not necessary. No, it's not necessary at all. No, it isn't. Yeah, because whoever is calling constructor of the bot has to use a ping infos anyway, so it can just pump it into the factory themselves if they want to. So yeah, I'm just gonna do it this way. And now what I can do is I can go here. And creating the bot. Ah, we get some. I have to do this differently. We have to create a data access handler first. Then give the data access handler like a. I guess I can just get them, can't I? Can just get them. So can use the data access handler now to get all the user ping infos. Do I want to do it link way? Do I have to do it? Wait, what happens if I do this? That just works. Yeah, perfect. Okay. It's gonna enumerate through that though. I'm not happy with. I want to call it here, so I'm gonna just do it to list. Actually, wait. Why are there two different to lists? There's a MongoDB driver to list. Interesting, that's different one than they have their own to list method. I wonder if it's any better. Or if it's actually you doing what. Oh yeah, I have to. Oh yeah, wait, I should do like the. No, I don't have. Like, I could do it asynchronously here, but I don't really have to. just gonna do the synchronous call, but I think I don't want to do it the Mongo way. Let's just do it like link way. I could probably write a method in data access handler in the data access handler to wrap it in there, but probably not worth the effort. So is this all I need? It might be. I mean, it's pretty easy to test right now. So thanks to the test I wrote. No, wait, the test is not creating one for TH Pion, isn't it? It doesn't have to. Let's just start the bot and see what happens. So I start the bot, and we're gonna switch to Discord. And I'm gonna turn ping on. Oh wait, you actually see that. Wait, open that somewhere. Doesn't work. Anyway, yeah, I've talked about the token visible on the screen earlier. It doesn't matter. Not too big of a deal. I cannot. Oh, can I just? There's a way of doing this. Probably that's why. So, bot is running. Yeah, bot is running. So I'm just gonna do ping on now, which turns on the pinging. Wait, can I actually? Cannot ping myself, can I? Oh, I can. Okay, good. So now I'm gonna turn off the bot and restart it. Restart the bot. Chugga. And it's back. And now it's gonna just do ping all. See if I get pinged. I do. Well, that worked better than expected. That was easier than I feared it would be. Apparently, I did all the hard stuff already last time I touched this bot. Okay, cool. So it actually persisted. That's neat. That's actually exactly what I wanted. Goal achieved. Awesome. So let's double check now. Let's turn it off. So if I ping all now, it doesn't ping me. And now I'm gonna restart the bot. Wrong button. Restart the bot. Yep, it's back. And do ping all again. Neat! It works. Awesome. I thought this would be more struggle, but apparently I did all the hard work already. So that was actually not too bad. Ha! I was like really like, oh god, I have to fiddle around with all the MongoDB stuff. But I guess I did all the hard work already and just forgot about that I did it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised now that this worked so easily. So this is actually, that's actually neat. It saves the settings now, so that's awesome. Cool. Okay, what next? What next? So is this, so the only fear I have right now. So I touched on the data user earlier, really quickly. So let's go into detail a little bit more about that. So basically, when a new user is coming into the channel, good evening, Knusper Greg and Fishy Fish, by the way. If a new user is coming to the channel and goes like ping on, I should probably switch back. Actually, code, and it's using the ping on command, and he never did that before, so the bot doesn't know about it. Then what will happen is we will end up here eventually in the ping on method, which will get us here in the pinging handler to this helper method, which will eventually take the user ping info collection and say like, give me the ping info for this player, and the ping info will check and say, I don't have that player, so let's create a user ping info object for that player or for that user. And the user that is being passed here is like the Discord, like as I explained earlier. Let's take a look at that again. So I have this I have this interface called iUser, right? It has some basic properties like an ID, a mention thing where you can ping people with, and a name, and like a send message method, and a toString. And actually, wait, is toString useful here? Because like every object has toString, right? Not sure if that makes sense, but whatever. So it has a few things. And so this is how it works. When the Discord bot, like the bot, as I showed earlier, is connected. How do I start explaining this? So yeah, probably start over here. So basically, I create the bot and whatnot. Like the bot has some logic and stuff, but the entry point is this event. So there's this Discord object, which is from the Discord.net library. And it has a message received event. So whenever the bot, like the bot not in terms of my code, but the bot in terms of like the Discord bot itself, is receiving a message in any channel. In any channel it has access to. Then this event is triggered. And that will in turn trigger, in turn will trigger the message received method of my bot. So this is my code now. And when that happens, I jump into the command parser. And the command parser will pass that message and create a command. And that message, this message object, which is this Discord message object, like, no, it's white, I wrapped it somewhere already. God damn it, too fast. There, okay. This is actually entry point, kind of. So M is the message, like M is the Discord message. It's a socket message object. That's from a Discord library. So that's the thing I get from the Discord library. And I wrap that in my own message object, which is like a wrapper for it. It implements the iMessage interface, which is the interface I use for my code. And it wraps the Discord message here in an like it's of type iMessage, but whatever. Like this is a little confusing because this is my iMessage interface and this is the Discord iMessage interface. But it wraps the Discord object into this class. So this class is a wrapper for the Discord iMessage thingy, or so for the thing I get from the Discord library. So this is a wrapper, and I wrap it in here when I get it. And when we now take a look at the iMessage interface, we see that it has like an author property, which is an iUser, which is my interface again. So it knows an author to this message. So it knows who wrote that message. And when we now take a look at the Discord message wrapper message object, class, whatever, words, and take a look at the author property, how it is implemented, down we see that I'm creating a user object, which is again a wrapper for the Discord user class. So I'm taking the Discord message author. So this is the Discord message. So this is the socket message I get from Discord. It has an author property, which is of type Discord iUser. And I take that thing and wrap it in my own class called user. So I have like this is a wrapper method or a factory method which creates the thing. But basically the user class is a wrapper for a socket user, which is the Discord user object. And I just wrap it in there. So basically my wrapper for the Discord message has a property author, which returns a wrapper for the Discord user. And you could easily rip all the Discord stuff out and replace it by something else, as I mentioned earlier. But right now, all of it is the Discord stuff. Like all the objects I actually have are wrappers for Discord classes. And so when now, let's get back to the ping handler, when now the user ping info collection gets this user object, this is actually, or this iUser thingy, this is actually a wrapper for like my wrapper class, the user class, the wrapper for the Discord user thing. I should probably rename those to Discord user or whatever, but now that would be confusing as well. I don't know. So this is in fact like the user class, which is the wrapper for the Discord user. So when the user ping info is created, it gets that user object, which is like the Discord, not the Discord user, but the wrapped Discord user object. So, where do I want it to go with this? Oh yeah. So now, when this worked fine, as long as it was all just in memory. But when I wanted to persist this stuff, I ran into an issue, because now I can go and put that thing, the user ping info, in the database. That works fine. That's not a problem. Like, it will just serialize the user as well, and just put it in the database. And MongoDB knows types, so it goes through the property list here and says, okay, we persist all of this. It sees an interface here and it says, yeah, that's not an issue. I'm just gonna write down what type that is. So if we actually take a look, how do I do this? Can we go to the screen? Yes, we can. So if I show you the screen over here really quick, if you take a look, like this is the DB, the object as it is in the database. Can we actually get a different view here? Is there like a JSON view? You know, I'm not super familiar with this program. JSON view form. Yeah, but how do I get a JSON view? How can I display this as a JSON? Because that would be actually helpful right now. There we go, JSON. So this is the persisted object in the database. As you can see, it has the user property and has the user fields in here, and then it has an _t descriptor discriminator field that says this is a data user object. So now the MongoDB driver knows when it actually reads that object from the database and it sees, hey, I have to put an IUser here, then it actually knows, okay, I should recreate that IUser object from the class data user, which implements IUser. Fishy, right? Sounds like Spanish for me. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, if you're not like programming, this is probably hard to follow. This is, as I said at the beginning of the stream, we're probably not here yet. This is an experiment. Like, this is the reason why I'm not like doing any videos right now. So I decided, like, well, maybe we just make a video about what I'm doing right now, or stream rather. So this is kind of an experiment. I don't expect a lot of people to watch this, but I just wanted to try and see what happens. Maybe someone is interested. So anyway, back to this. You can see that MongoDB is actually saving the data type of the class if it's like an interface, or like even if you do like inheritance, or you can do that. Back to here. So when MongoDB persisted the user ping info with the socket, like the user class, which was the wrapper for a Discord user, that worked fine. But then when I actually tried to read it from a database, what happened is it saw, okay, that user is of type user, which is like which is this user class, and the only way to create this user is by getting a socket user. And as I showed earlier, you cannot create a socket user by hand. Like, this is just a thing the Discord library will give you. You cannot create it out of thin air. So there's actually no way of actually setting up this user object, like, whatsoever. It's just not possible. So that's not an option. So what I had to do is go to the data access handler, and whenever I actually persist the thing, like persist the user ping info, what I do is I replace the user object with a data user object. The data user object is just like a very simple implementation of the Ienumerable interface with just like the simple properties. It doesn't implement the send message method, which is what I actually want to talk about. But we're gonna get there in a moment. So this is just like a simple class that the MongoDB can then use to deserialize the thing. So I replace the user with the data user, and when I then read the object from a database, I will get a user ping info with the data user in the IUser field instead of a regular user. And that's all fine until you call the send message method, because the send message method is not implemented for the data user, because the send message method in the regular user is calling the socket user and calling the send message method of the socket user, which is not a thing I can do here because I don't have a socket user and a data user thing. So I can't possibly send a message from here. It's just not a thing. So right now, I don't think that's an issue, because I don't think I use the method at all in the context I create those things in. So that's not an issue, but it might become an issue later. I'm not sure how to solve that when the issue arises, but I guess I'm just gonna ignore the problem for now. So yeah, the issue is that now I have two different kinds of users in my memory, and some of them are data users and some of them are just a users. And one of them does not have like the send message method implemented, and would throw an exception whenever it is called. But as I said, I don't think it is ever called for the users in the user ping info. So as long as I'm not like spreading that object around, it should not be an issue. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm pretty sure that it's not an issue right now, but it could easily become one eventually. So I have to keep that in my mind, and if it becomes an issue, find a solution for it, which probably will be pretty tricky, because like an option would be to like ask the Discord object to give me a user with a certain ID or whatnot, whatever. That will probably only work if the user is actually available, though. I'm not sure. Fishy just likes to listen to my ramblings. He doesn't know why. I mean, okay, cool. If you just like if you like doing that, that's fine. I just realized that my restream thing is that's completely broken. Doesn't get the why is it not showing how many people are actually people watching? Why is it? Oh, I thought nobody's watching. People are actually watching, but restream thing showing it. That's a pain in the ass. I don't think I should press this button, because that would actually okay, the stream might disappear for a few seconds. I'm not sure. I don't think it does, but it might. Be warned. No, I don't think it disappeared, because that would be premium. So I hope the stream is still there, but I think it is. Might have been gone for a few seconds. Not sure. Interesting. It for some reason doesn't show the users online right now. It's just bugged right now. Sucks a bit. Let me check. Is anyone watching on Twitch as well? Twitch, fine. Actually, I wanted to go to the dashboard. Well, people are watching there as well. So I actually have a few viewers. Well, hi then. Oh, cool. The message sharing is actually okay. Never noticed. So the message from YouTube are actually gonna get like posted to the Twitch chat as well. That's cool. Oh, I'm not logged in. Let's log in really quick. Didn't notice that's actually. Thought that was not working the last time I checked, but apparently it is working. So that's cool. People can actually see the message from different chats, except for Steam chat, because Restream doesn't support it properly. Where's my dashboard? There, create a dashboard. Okay, there's only, which might just be. I don't think I count because I don't have it out. Whatever. But I have a few people watching on YouTube right now, so interesting. Didn't really expect to see a lot of people around here. But yeah, I don't know why Restream is acting up and not actually getting the viewer data. That's a little annoying. That's a little annoying. So, yeah, as I said, this is actually working now. There is like a sleeping issue with the send message thing right now, because those users are not actually users I can use my others, but for the moment it works. So that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna commit that. So implemented persistency. It's not a word, isn't it? It's just like implemented saving user ping infos to database. Neat, very neat. One master, that's fine. I don't need feature branches. I'm just I'm just working on this on my own. I only use the Git I use the Git mainly for like having an easy way to roll back and see what I did, and also for like pushing the code to the server. So it's not important that I have like a super clean Git history here going on. Hey, so yeah, that's good. Let me take a look at my to-do list. No, that's outdated. That's not, like, I did that already. Now the to-do list is not up to date. Maybe I should make it up to date. Well, I know. Okay, let's just like do collect stats or more stats. Okay, blah just wrote that you can apparently get a Discord iUser object from an iChannel given an ID, but that probably requires the user to be online, I would expect. But then again, does this would now Restream is showing the users, so I actually have 8 viewers. Well, hi. I was under the impression I'm talking to nobody like for the last, how long am I streaming? For the last hour. Apparently I'm not. Blubber comments my stream, my code. It looks very clean. Well, thank you. I said it at the beginning of the stream, like it's clean in some places, but it's pretty dirty in others. Like the project started out as like a very simple thing, and then I decided, oh wait, let's make this like maybe a little bit more maintainable. But there are a few things here and there that are like really ugly. But for the most part, it's pretty clean because I have fun writing clean code. Like I don't like writing dirty code for the most part. I have fun like making a neat architecture and doing cool stuff with code. And so since I'm doing this for fun mostly, well, that's why it's the way it is. So yeah, again about the Discord. So there is probably a way to like, there's this Discord object, right? You get this Discord object from the Discord.net library. And there's probably a way to get a user from that thing. Let me check if you can get it directly, or if to current users, no, that's an event. Get user. You probably can use this. So you don't even need to channel. You can just do this and get the user with the ID. But I imagine that might not work when the user is actually offline. I would not be surprised by that. But anyway, I still don't want to do that right now because it would be annoying. Actually, it's not that tricky. I thought I would have to like do some really like serious heavy lifting to do it. But to be honest, I only have to give the data access handler access to the thing. Wait, this is static. Is this actually working? So I replaced it. If I don't replace it, it would try to map it. Can I do? I don't think I can do that. Okay, what I would like to do, but I don't think that works. But what I would like to do would be like have a class map for the user object, which is my wrapper for the Discord user thingy, and do like cm automap, and then say cm map creator, and say like Discord, which I don't have right now, but let's just assume I have the Discord client here, which would be easy to get, even in a static way. Discord, and then like let's get it here really quick. Well, not really, but let's fake it. Let's fake it really quick so we get the thing. So let's say we have like a static Discord client over here. So let's say we have that. So now we could call get user on that. Oh wait, it might actually work. Oh wait, that actually works. I think that works. And then we say there to wrap it. This might actually work. That would be really neat. I have to try that. Okay, I'm going to try that. That would be, I didn't thought it would be that easy. So I kind of discarded the idea, but this might just work. Make this a public thing, or not a public. Well, yeah, make it a public thing. Probably move it up there somewhere. Ugh. I hate that the scrolling behavior is not like the scrolling. Like there's this hotkey in Visual Studio where you just go Alt, arrow up, arrow down. But it scrolls really weird if you do it. Like it's a cool feature to just move the line around, right? And you can also do it with multiple lines like this. But the scrolling is just getting completely fucked up if you do it, which is annoying. Anyway, this might just work. So when we create the Discord thing, we go data access handler Discord gleich, not gleich, is Discord. It needs a setter, obviously. Now we have the thing shared. It's shared in a static way, but like this is static, the static main method anyway. That should not be an issue. That works, and now I can use it here. Now I just ignore this line. I still need the casting here. This is a weird trick I had to use. Just ignore it. It's a trick I had to use to make the MongoDB behave in a way I wanted it to. I have to do a cast here for some reason. This might just work. Okay, let me see. Let me delete the entity I have. Delete. Don't go. Is it empty? No, it didn't delete it. Right. Not. Tree table. Delete. Yes. Done. Okay, it's empty. So the database is empty again. I'm gonna start the bot. Okay, Blubberblub says that from the documentation, it looks like the method should also report offline users, but it's a little unreliable. It might return null in large guilds. Okay. Okay, that's... Do you know what large means? Okay, bot is running. So right now it doesn't know that I want to be pinged, so it doesn't ping. So let's go ping on. Now it will ping me. And now I'm gonna restart the bot. And it might just crash on startup. Okay, no, it didn't crash. So it did load the users. So it did load the users. That just worked, I think. Wow. Okay, cool. That was way easier than I thought it would be. What I don't like is the risk of the get user command failing. Wait, let me check the documentation myself really quick. Where's the thing now? What did I call it there? Oh wait, that's not gonna work. Is there actually? I hate that there's no. Wait, is there doc? No, there's. Wait, let me Google the doc really quick. Discord.net documentation. Oh, you actually still see the browser. Never mind. Okay, wait. Blah blah. Copied the thing. Also the link. Copy link address. Thank you. 100 plus is big. Ooh, then that's risky. Because like the Parser server has like a few thousand, I think. So Discord, socket client, get user. Wait, that documentation, is that the documentation I use? That's the one I've. What did I? No. This looks unfamiliar. I think I never ended up here. Right, let me check what I used so far. RP documentation. I used. Oh no, this is this one. Okay, never mind. I guess I used that. Never mind. Okay, so I didn't know there was additional information over here though. There was a method now. Get user. Gets a generic user declaration parameters, blah blah, overrides remarks. This method gets the user present in the WebSocket. Warning. Sometimes the user may return null due to Discord not sending offline users in large guilds. EA guilds with 100 plus members actively. To download user on startup, consider enabling always download user. Okay. This method does not attempt to fetch users that the logged in user does not have access to. Don't share multiple guilds with the current user. That's fine. So this one doesn't matter, but this one is important. Let's check what the always on thing is. Always download users. This is a Discord socket config. Not sure where I would provide that, but probably doable. Getso says whether or not all users should be downloaded as guilds come available without extra documentation. This is a little unfortunate. Okay, Blubblub says that the iChannel way is async but reliable. I mean, I could just like do. I mean, it's only gonna be people who have access to the Matchmake channel anyway. So what you're saying is, if I go to socket channel, there should be an get user thing as well. It doesn't have the warning, at least. That doesn't mean that it's like the documentation doesn't seem to be complete, to be honest. So I would be a bit worried that this might die as well. Oh, there's also an async method, I guess. Async is not really necessary at that point. Cache mode. Allow download. Allow only object to from existing cache. Okay. I mean, it doesn't have the warning, so this might be okay. It's probably better anyway. Like, just looking in the channel is probably better anyway. So I'm gonna do that, and if it fails, like at any time, I can still roll back to the data access way. But that's good because just change this now to be like a socket channel. Keep it exactly that way. And now do like yeah, it's not gonna be null. That should do the trick. And now I can get rid of the data user entirely. I don't need that anymore. That's neat. Again, now I'm more coupled to Discord again, but I don't really worry about it. I don't plan to make this bot like available to other chat clients or whatever. Oh, you're still on the browser. Thanks for notifying. It's easy to forget. So what I did is I switched, like I changed the Discord socket client to the socket channel over here. Let's actually change that. Oops. and in program moved like the setting like from there to here and change it to the Matchmake channel instead of like the whole client. So, by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them at me. I mean, it's a live stream after all. Free to participate. Especially if you have questions about like the C# syntax here, because I'm have a lot of fun using all the cool C#8 features like null reference stuff. It's really fun. It's really cool. I am so happy that I implement that shit. Okay, we're gonna get, yeah, we have to remove this then, obviously. But that's fine. I can just. So completely deleted the data user thing. It should not be an issue. Okay, let's start the bot again and see if it works, but it should. So that's even better because I don't need the data user, which is good. Yep, it loads. It might take a while now to load up. Like if like a lot of people sign up for pinging, what might happen on boot? Like, goddammit, I didn't show you the browser, but it just worked. Morbid Wisp is asking why I'm using white theme. I actually like I don't like the dark theme in Visual Studio. Like, it's okay, but I prefer the white one. Like, here's the thing. Most people don't like the light themes in apps because they have their screen on reasonable brightness settings. I don't. I have all my screens in night mode. Like, be it my phone, be it my computer, whatever. Or everything is in night mode. So everything is kind of reddish to me. Like, I don't have blue colors on my screens. The reasoning is that, like, it's actually nicer to look at, I think. Like, it gets a little used to in the beginning, but then it's way nicer to look at. Like, whenever I look at it as a screen that is not in night mode right now, I'm just like, ooh, this is so hard to look at. And also, I heard, I'm not sure if that's true, but I heard that it's like better for the eyes in long term. Like, the blue light will destroy the eyes or damage the eyes over time. Like, only marginally, obviously, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to put it to night mode. And therefore, I'm not like annoyed by apps that are bright, because like they're good to look at for me. Like, that's like, just set up your monitor in a way that white is not hurting your eyes, and you're not like, it's not a problem. Also, the other factor is that I'm someone who has like always light my room. I'm never sitting in the dark when sitting in front of the screen. I just don't like it. I know a lot of people actually like that, prefer it that way, like having a dark room and looking at the screen. It's just like, personally, I don't like it. Like, I find it annoying to be in a dark room when watching a screen, looking at the screen. And therefore, I always have a bright room, and my screen is in night mode. And therefore, looking at white things is not a problem for me, or it's not annoying for me. And therefore, I actually like, I actually prefer light mode or bright mode or whatever over dark themes. Light themes over dark themes in a lot of apps and websites and whatnot. So that's the answer to that question. Fishy asks a totally relevant question. What do you think about the new Rammstein single? Is it the Deutschland thing? I saw it for a few seconds, but didn't have time. Like, I wasn't really interested in watching it, I guess. Yeah. Oh yeah, Wisp is bringing up a good point. Like, if you're a designer, like if you're doing anything with graphics, then doing it the way I do it, like having everything in night mode, is like not a good idea, because like you're gonna screw up the colors. But since I don't care. But yeah, that's definitely a valid concern. Like, if you're doing anything with colors whatsoever, then yeah, you don't want to put everything in. Okay, I kind of interrupted myself, and I wanted to say something else, though. Not sure what it was, though. Something I wanted to say before I answered questions. Like I was like, it's actually interesting. Like the moment I saw Morbid's mentioning of my screen, like of my theme, I like started replying to it, and while I was replying to it, I was thinking I should probably continue my line of thought right now before answering questions. That would be like, it's better for the viewers, and I'm not going to lose my line of thought. And now I'm sitting here and lost my line of thought. So. That's not your fault, Wisp. It was like completely on my own. Like, it's a thing. Like, actually, when I watch streams, I really get annoyed. Like, the main reason I hate like subscriber notifications and follower notifications and whatever. Like one reason why I hate them or why I dislike them is because like they annoy me as a viewer like a little bit. Usually, depending on how annoying they are different, like different offenders in this, I guess. But the main reason I hate them is not the notification itself, but the streamer interrupting whatever they're doing or saying or whatever right now, and like being, oh, thank you for following or thank you for subscribing or whatever. Like this is the most annoying thing when watching streams for me. Like especially like in the like I'm watching a lot of GTA roleplay streams, and I hate like the people are in a conversation, like in character right now, like they're talking to other people, like in character, like they're doing role play right now, and like talking like about a serious issue or whatever, like in mid conversation, and then the subscription notification goes up, whatever, plays a funny sound, and the streamer will just go, like, will usually finish the sentence in character, but then just instead of continue talking to the person standing in front of them, they're going, oh, thank you for subscribing, blah, 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 blah. And the other person is like just waiting for them to reply, like for several seconds until they're like, so like start talking again. Like this is so, I hate it so much. It's incredible. So I was like I'm a little angry at myself that I interrupted my line of thought earlier. But whatever. Yeah, was describing it pretty well. Oh, look, that's gonna be something there. Oh, thank you for the follow, reacts as if a nuke happened behind them. Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's annoying. Yeah, Blub Blub says that it's probably for a lot of streamers, it's like a reflex. Yeah, it probably is. They don't even notice. So this is actually cool. So I'm happy that this works now. Did I try it? I tried it, right? Yeah, I think I tried it. So this is actually better than the data user thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of DTO objects and stuff like that and database entities or whatever. Like, I just like I like to have like my model classes, like my business model classes, my domain entities, I guess, and don't like have to transfer them in different things because it kind of breaks OOP, like object-oriented programming. It just kind of breaks it, and it makes like. It also, like, when you change something, like, you have to change it in, like, if you add a different field, for example, like, let's imagine you have, like, a business object, like a user, like a user class. Then you have a different class for saving that user or storing that user in a database called, like, data user or whatever. And then you have another one that's, like, another DTO for, like, sending it to an API or whatever, or getting it from to the UI or whatever, view model maybe. That means you have 3 different user classes. And now you have to add one field to the data to the user, like one property. Now you have to change that, like to add it to all 3 classes. Then you have to add it to all the methods that are like handling the conversion from one of those classes to another one. If you're not using some auto mapping or reflection and stuff. It's like that's super annoying to do, and also, as I said, it kind of breaks OOP in a lot of cases. And if possible, I try to avoid it. And But then again, like more important than that is to keep your domain logic clean of any like persistency logic or something. So I would not go that far to like put I would rather have two different classes, like a data user and a domain user, than having like MongoDB or entity framework attributes in my domain user. But in this project, I found a pretty neat way to like getting the best of the two worlds. Like I only have the user class now, or the user interface, I should say rather, because that's the actually domain model class here. The user is actually not domain model because it's in a domain folder, but it shouldn't be. Like this is the Discord specific user. This is not actually domain. The domain object is the user, which is not even a class because it's an interface. So this is kind of diluted, I guess. But it just makes sense this way to me. I'm not sure if this is actually super clean, but that's the way I did go. And it works well so far. And I feel like it would be easy to now add a different technology. And what was I saying? So the way I handle it here is that I have like the clean model class without any like data logic. And then I have the data access handler with just implements like a custom serializer, and that just works and serialize it in the way I want it to without having any attributes on a class. That's kind of nice. I could probably put this to automap, to be honest. Oh wait, I don't want to automap. Like I explicitly didn't want to automap them though. There was a reason behind this. I should probably though. Right. Should I automap them or should I not? If I automap them, I should automap both of them, to be honest. Like that's all the properties anyway. Okay, so automapping means it will pick up all the properties. So whenever I add a new property to the class, it will automatically persist it and deserialized as well. Which is cool if that property is supposed to be serialized and deserialized. And it's bad if it's not supposed to be that. So, but I think most things should probably, for the user, not necessarily. Like for the user, I guess it's probably better to automap them. I don't know, maybe not for the user. Let's just automap both. Should be fine. Should be fine. Okay, Wisp is describing a weird quality of life issue in Minion Masters. I played Minion Masters back in the day. It's still on my list of a game I want to play more of eventually, but I'm probably never gonna get around to it. I still get regular emails with like gift codes, and I still use them. Like I log into Minion Masters every now and again, every time I get an email with the bonus code, and activate the code, but then don't play the game. So just like in anticipation that I'm gonna play it at some point. Okay, fishy, good night. So apparently there's a thing that when you win the game, you can just quit the main menu, but if you lose, you have to wait for the confetti and dancing animation of the victor to end. That's pretty annoying. I guess it's kind of similar to this sub notification thing. Blubble will ask if I saw Baba Is You. I saw it on Twitter a few times already. It looked really interesting. I'm not sure, is that like released right now or something? For the ones who don't know, it's basically a weird puzzle game where like you rearrange text on a screen, I think. Like you push it around, like it's top down, and you push around text, and when the words like form sentences, those sentences become true. Like, like I don't know. It looked really weird. It's hard to describe. Wait, let me check if I can actually find it. Baba Is You. There's a... Oh, it's on Nintendo Switch. I guess. Get like a trailer. That's the trailer. That's the... Okay, let's... So rock is push. No, wait. That makes... Rock is you. Now he can control the rock because rock is you. This is genius. Wall is stop. Baba is you. So no wall is not stop anymore. So it can go through it. Flag is move. Okay, I guess you can stop it from moving. Lava is hot. Baba. Wait, what? Lava is melt. What? Baba is more. This is so dumb. It's great though. Water is float. Okay. Wait, what? What happened? It became the key. Black is you. All is empty. This is great. Oh, it's on Steam now. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that. It's pretty great. Oh wait, there was a link to the Steam store. Whatever. Let's just go. Bye-bye. Probably enough. Wait, why is it on my ignore list? That's not good. That was an accident. That's why I missed it though. So it released actually wait. Today? No. Oh yeah, it released last month, basically. Pretty expensive. Well, not super expensive, like not what I'm saying, like I don't say this game is not worth the price. What I'm saying is like that there's a lot of games that look of similar scope that are way cheaper than this. Like I imagine this is a pretty hard sell for a lot of people, but then again I think it might have like hit a thing and got like good receptions all up or across the board, and therefore got some momentum. And if your game got some momentum, then a price tag like this is usually a good idea because you make like people will still buy it and you make way more money that way. So it's like the reception is really good. Again, a good example of how important criminal steps are in between puzzles, especially if you introduce new mechanics all the time, because you might not even be aware of since they were not introduced properly. Okay. Yeah, I like to read like the oddball reviews. Like if everything is positive, then it's usually a good idea to read a few of the negative ones to get an idea what people get annoyed of. Okay. Baba is good. Good is good. Okay, so I should probably commit this again. Removed data user. Can you actually see this? Oh, you don't even see this because this is in window mode. Yeah, okay, you don't see me committing to Git, but whatever. Remove data user and persisted user instead. Okay. Okay, Blue is talking about the programming language Go, which has the possibility to basically extend any class you want with additional methods and attributes. You can do something like that in C#. Like you can write extension methods. Like let me make a simple example. Let's just go like let's just use a class I have. Like say, okay, we have to use a class over here. And what I can do now is I could do it in a different file, but I'm just going to do it in the same file for simplicity. So I can create a static class now called, I can call it whatever. Let's just call it user extensions. And I can write a public static method in here. Void extensions test that takes a user. And now I can do something with it. Maybe it takes another parameter, like string. It does something with the string in the user. Maybe it does like, how about this? Let's make a real example, kind of. Let's say it takes blah plus user to string. Do I have, yeah. So let's say we write a method like that. So now we could be like somewhere in some method. What? And call that method by going extension test, new user, user, so we could do this. Void missing. So we could do this. But what I could also do now, like this is just a regular helper class method, like a static method that does some logic. What you can do in C# now is you can add a little keyword here. Called this. And now this is actually an extension method, which means I can rewrite this to user extension test. And that's the same thing now. It looks like this would be a method of this class now, but it actually isn't. It's just like, this is just a compiler trick. It just looks different. Like it's still the same thing. It just calls the static method and gives the user as the first parameter. But it looks in code, it looks different. And it makes a lot of things really nice to look at. And the whole link concept in C# is based around that. Fishy is sleeping. Good night, Fishy. And so this is a really cool feature, but it only works some methods right now. Like I think there are development plans for like extension everything, where you can also do it for properties and whatnot. I don't think you can do it with attributes. That's not a thing you can do. I think you will not get attributes this way. They're also working on default implementation methods for interfaces. Like that's a thing that's available in Java already. Like it's usually the way it goes is like a feature is getting implemented in C#, it's successful there, and then Java is gonna maybe get it a few years later. But actually for default interface methods, it's the other way around. Java got those before C#, which is really unusual. Usually C# is like 3 steps ahead, but not this time. So they're not a thing yet in C#, but they're gonna get there soonish. I think they're like in prototype right now. So the really cool thing about extension methods is the link thing in C#. So link basically, so there's this class in C, or this interface in C#. It's Ienumerable of something. Strings. So this interface basically describes, like, let's get rid of this. This interface describes like a enumeration of things. So enumeration of strings in this case. So you can just like, you can iterate it. You can, for example, you can do for each, right? You can do like as in strings. So and now I have like the string here. Wait, why is it not working? Oh, because it's unassigned. Yeah, whatever. Or do it nice. Enumerable. Well, fuck you. Enumerable empty string. Okay, now I can iterate over it, right? And can do something like console right line. Yes. So okay, that's a thing you can do. You could also, like, it's an interface, and most collections implement it, or all collections implement it. So I could also do like new list string and put some strings in there or whatever, and I could iterate over it. So that's the Ienumerable interface. It's pretty simple. It just defines, like, if you take a look at it, it just defines an enumerator, or a get enumerator method, which gives an enumerator, and the enumerator basically has like a current thing, and it can go to the next one somehow. Not sure, right? Can it? I think it can. Oh yeah, it has a move next, a reset, and a current basically. It's a little like, this looks a little bit convoluted, but it's based on a non-generic interface, and then they wrap it with a generic one, and just ignore that. Basically, it's an iterator of a thing. It's not even a list, like it doesn't have an index or whatever. It's just like an iteration. Hey Guko NL, welcome to the stream. And now in C# there's like a huge number of extension methods for this interface, and they're all called link extensions, L-E-N-Q. And they're really, really cool. So basically, what you can do now is like you can take that I should probably add enumeration. So you can take that enumeration and call a bunch of methods. For example, toList. toList is pretty simple. toList is an extension method, as you can see here. Like, it's a static method that takes an enumerable as a single parameter, and it has this keyword here. So I can call it on the enumeration, like .toList. You saw earlier the enumerable doesn't have a toList method. That's an extension method defined somewhere in the link namespace, and it just iterates, well, enumerates the enumerator and creates a new list object and puts the enumeration in there. It's pretty simple, but there are other cool things you can do. For example, there is a where method that allows you to filter on a thing. So you can say something like as length is greater 1. So now you have a new enumeration. So the return of the where method is in another enumerable. And basically, does it show the tooltips? Oh, OBS doesn't show the tooltips, doesn't it? Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Can I change that somehow? Is there a way to make that visible? Because that's a little... I guess I would have to go screen capture, which I don't. Well, okay, let's not use the tooltip, let's just go in there. Okay, so the where method is an extension method that takes an enumerable and like a predicate, so a filter basically, and returns a new enumerable. And so this is like this gives me a filtered enumeration. So this I could save this like strings with more than one character, and do it this way. Oh, I have to obviously in that way. And now var is like an enumerable again, which you can't see because tooltips are not showing up. That's annoying. Well, anyway, it's in neither enumerable string, and so that's there. There are other methods, like there's a select, for example. So enumeration, select, and the select allows you to transform it. So for example, you can say you concat it with itself, and now all the strings would be like this one, like would be doubled basically. So this is a transformation. There's a bunch of other stuff, like there's getting a single one, or what else. Let's just go through the list a little bit. So you can check if all of them fulfill a condition, or if any of them fulfill a condition, or just if it's empty, for example. You can do like, you can append them, bunch of stuff. You can cast them or check for type with off type. That's also neat. There's a count method, contains and stuff like that. So these are all methods that are not like usually, you know, those methods like contains and count, those are usually defined on list. In this case, you can use them on an Ienumerable because they're defined as extension method, which is really, really cool. Like there's a bunch of stuff like that. You can extend it yourself. You can just easily extend it. Like let's say you want something specific. Like say I don't know. We want a not null filter, for example, a not null filter. So we just wait. Let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of this one. We can just do like public static Ienumerable t, make it generic. Let's make not that will complicate things. Let's not make it generic. Ignore null, for example, and then we say this Ienumerable string input, or input, or it's called source usually. And now we just return source dot where s is not null. So and now I can just go here and say enumeration ignore null, and got a new enumeration that, like, we have a null in here, would just be the first and the third element in that case. And you can just do that, and you can do whatever you want in those things, and that's really cool. Like, you can extend them the way you want. You can like do crazy things, simple things, whatever. Like, for example, I implemented very simple, because I got it like there's no isEmpty method in Link. There's just the any method. So if you want to check if an enumeration is empty, you do like any, and then like if any, and you negate it. And I really hate the negation in C# with the like an exclamation mark, because it has to be at the beginning of the statement. I just don't like it. So what I did is I wrote a simple method that just looks like this: public static variable. I think T works in this case. Is empty. Is enumerable T. Oh, we have to make the method T as well, obviously. Generic source. And you just return any. So this is obviously it doesn't. Oh wait, it's wrong. That's obviously very simple, but it's a thing you can do. Like, you're not stuck with the API you got. You can just change it or extend it, not change it, but extend it with an extension method. And now I can just, instead of this, I can just write enumeration is empty. And like, it doesn't work because of what? Ambiguous. Oh, because I've linked. Oh, okay. It's ambiguous because because I have the DLL or the library in here, the class in here that actually does it. Yeah, this is my own link util thingy, and there it is, the isEmpty. There it is, and it actually checks if the predicate is. It also has a predicate, but it's a little bit more convoluted than that. It just do it like do this. Why? So I can just do this now, and that's really cool. And as you saw here in the link util, I have a bunch of methods that just like do things that are usually not there and would be like require a few more extra lines or just look ugly. Like, sometimes they're not even like long. They're just like, I want to make it a little shorter or not make it look ugly or whatever, and I implement like a little extension method that is just way more readable because it says what it does in the name, and that's really cool. And that's why I like Link so much. And especially like when I got like I got used to Link and stuff by doing C# projects at work, and then I had to do a Java project. And Java has this concept, the similar concept, which is called streams. Like not similar to extension methods, similar to Link. So the Java equivalent of Link, or equivalent quote unquote to Link, is Java streams, and it's, oh boy, it's fucking horrible. So Java doesn't do extension methods, and it can't, like, it's not a thing in Java. Extension methods are not a thing. I think they're actually planned. I'm not sure. I think they're planning on doing those, but they don't have them. So instead of having something like Link, they have streams, and streams are fucking awful. Like, don't get me wrong. Using streams in Java is better than not using streams, like doing it the old-fashioned way, like just doing manual, like loops or whatever. You can do all of those things usually with just like a simple loop and doing some filtering in a loop or whatever and creating a new list or whatever. And doing streams is usually cleaner, nicer, and better than doing it like with loops. But comparing streams to Link, like, whoa, I got a headache. Like, what the fuck? This is so backwards in comparison, especially because you cannot reuse streams. Like, this is really dumb. Streams are just ugly in comparison. Extension methods like enable things like Link, and Link is so much better than that. That's like, it's crazy. Like, it's such a big difference. And just because they enabled like a little nice feature that allows you to write an extension method, this doesn't even do anything. Like, this will create the exact same, like doing where is it now? So doing this line and doing, or let's do it without the thing. So doing this line or doing ignore null enumeration will create the exact same intermediate language code. So this will create the exact same code. Like the compiler knows it, but the interpreter will not see a difference between those two lines. Like this will be create the exact same line. It's just a little compiler trick. It's just a trick, and it's just a syntax trick. Like it's just a compiler allowing you to write this in a different way. So this is not even like complicated to implement. You don't have to change the runtime or whatever. Like it's super simple, and it's just like a little neat trick, and it makes a huge difference if you compare link to streams. Like it's it's crazy how like such a small feature can have such a big impact. So yeah, that's I'm a big fan of C#, if you didn't notice yet. I just love this language. It's so good. So yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit here, but I don't really like. I'm happy that the bot is working as it's intended now. So I'm just going off a little bit of a programming ramble here. So yeah, I love this. This is really cool, and it allows for so many things. How did we got here anyway? How did we got to extend? Oh yeah, because we talked about extension methods, because you can use them to like write like a class, like a user class. Like you can, like what you can do, I did that in other projects. Like we had the issue earlier where I said like I don't like having different classes for like persistency and my business logic and whatever, like having a DTO and an entity class and then the business log, like a domain user, an entity user, and a DTO user or whatever. I don't like having that for various reasons. What you can do in some cases is you use like one class that's just for the that you use for the database. And it only has the properties. It doesn't have the methods. Like it doesn't have any logic in it. It just has like properties that store data basically. And I still don't like having like attributes on them or whatever, but it's not that bad. And then you go into a different class, like a static class, and call it like static class user logic or user domain logic even. And and then you just like write methods in there that you can use. But that doesn't work in all cases, but in some cases that works. And that's a good way to separate the logic from the data. This would not work in this case because users actually implementing an iUser, and the iUser defines a send message method, which I would not be able to put in a static, like in an extension method, because I don't have access to the interior of the class. I can only use the public properties of it, and the socket user which is being used in this method is like private. But that would not even work here. But it can work in some cases, and it's like a nice little thing. Oh, now I wanted to know what I wanted to talk about. There was another thing I wanted to mention about link. So link is really cool because link is lazy. So this line is not actually going to do anything. Like this is not like, let's say enumeration is not just a list of strings. Let's say enumeration is in fact let's say like an input stream or something, like, or a file stream. Maybe it has to read stuff from the hard drive, or is reading inputs from users, or it's a list of events that are being triggered like at certain times or whatever. It's something along those lines. So something that is not just like immediately available, or something that takes time to get, like maybe you have to read it from a database or from a file, as I said earlier. So let's say like iterating through this enumeration is actually slow. Calling this line will not actually iterate it because it is lazy. This will create a new enumeration. So this is again an Ienumerable. This is not like a list or something. So this is an Ienumerable, and as long as you don't actually enumerate this new enumeration, the thing is never enumerated. As soon as I now say, like, for example, for each over x in strings with blah blah, if I do this, or if I do like that to list, for example, that's the moment the thing is getting enumerated. But before that, it never is. It's just lazy, and that's really cool. That's a cool, neat feature. Because it prevents you, like you can create a bunch of different enumerations based on the same thing without actually enumerating it multiple times. And that's one of the big downsides of streams in Java as well. Because in Java, I couldn't even, like what I can do here is like having this variable and this enumeration and then doing another one. where you go enumeration. Oops. Whatever. Select or where as for example. Right, oops. So now I have one enumeration that filters for length is greater 1, and one enumeration that filters for is unequal 0, and they both are based on the same list here. And that's the thing, that you can't do that in Java. Like when you use Java streams, that's not possible. You cannot reuse the iteration. Like in Java, you have to do something similar to, like, you have the list, and then you have to call a method called stream that is only implemented on a handful of collections in the first place. And now you have to stream. And now you can do something like now you can do like stream, I think it's called filter or whatever, x x is unequal 0, unequal null, and this is not actually doing anything. Now you have to also collect it, like you call it collect method, and forgot how you do this, but I think there's like a collector to list or something. Now it looks a little different than that, but something along those lines. You have to do something along those lines. And it is not possible to now go, if you do this now and have like if you do this now, you will run into a runtime exception at this point, because you're reusing the stream, which is not possible. Like a stream can only be collected once in Java. And this is a runtime collection. Like this is a runtime exception. This is so bad. Like this is so horrible in comparison to how elegant Link is. This is this is the most annoying thing to me in Java. Like it's really, really bad. But let's scratch all of that, because it's not actually relevant. I was just like, I like talking about C# features. So yeah, the bot is doing what it's supposed to do now, for the moment. The next step, I'm gonna enter stream now, but I'm gonna give you a little like rundown on what I want to do next. So the next thing I want to do, so what about I mentioned it earlier. So the bot is right now saving specific events right now. So like I got a new handler. It's called the event logger, and basically it reacts to certain things and creates events. And right now it only creates an event when the bot is checking the due process backend API and checking how many players are online. And it does that once per minute. And every time that value changes, it will take that event and throw it in the database. So can I show it to you? It's not really to show. So basically, right now it always like it locks the players online whenever it changes, which is neat, because it allowed me for the last weekend, for example, to get like a nice graph which shows how many players were online at which time, which is nice. But I want to extend that. And they're like the basis, like it's a little bit here already. Like this is not done yet, but it's like a work in progress. Basically, I want to collect, like I want to go big data. I want to save everything the bot like experiences. Like every time a user uses a command of the bot, I want to save that. I want to save the information, and that would allow me to like create some stats later on. This will probably not really be valuable. It's just going to be a fun thing to dig through. Like have like a big database with usage statistics. It might help maybe a little bit to figure out how people use the bot, but it's like it's not going to be super useful, to be honest. It's more a thing I find a fun thing to do. So the next step is to like properly persist the events and like create the events and then persist them in a database, and that's the next step. And then I can do some like big data research stuff on my database and check how people are using the bot, which, as I said, it's gonna be fun. Good night, blub blub. And thanks for watching. And so that's the next step. Yeah. So right now I have like yeah, I'm like this is the event logger. Basically, it gets triggered. Like the log event method is triggered on certain things that happen in the other handlers. So it's triggering every time like a command is received. So a user is typing in a command, and it's triggering when the bot is done with handling that command. I split that up so I can like collect different information about what happened. Like, did the user, for example, like a simple thing is, let's start the bot and show you. Doesn't really show much, but you will not see much, but it's easier to show than anyway. So let's start off the bot. So let's say, oh, fuck, I did an oopsie. I guess my mapping, I changed the mapping and it didn't work now. Number of from, the member of from filter is not mapped. Why not? That's bad. Bad. Why is that? I changed to auto map and apparently that was a mistake. Why is the oh, they're not auto map because I don't have setters. Right. That's why, yeah. That's why I didn't want to auto map, because the auto mapping is shit. So let's actually change that. Property. Map property. Mention. Yeah, map property. Should have tested before I committed earlier, I guess. I was like, this is gonna work, but apparently it didn't. I'm just gonna let me open my Git, copy the code I changed. It's gonna be easy. Yeah. Okay, so let's start a bot. It's still broken. Fuck. Oh no, I got this error earlier. Fuck. I'm not sure what that error means. Oh, you actually see this tooltip? You can see this tooltip. Interesting. So this is not like a tooltip. Interesting. This is part of the window, apparently. Yeah, I got that error last week or whenever I was working on this bot. I'm not sure what it means. The member info argument must be for class user, but was for class entity. Okay, what is in the user ping info thing right now? That's let's delete that because that's not a complete thing. Let's try again. No, it doesn't start up. Fuck. Wait. What did I change? Changed how the user is being created. Okay, well, let me try something. Let's try to put this to automap because I think it did run when it was like this. Huh. It's weird. I mean, I don't want to, actually, now that I think about it, I don't want to persist all those user fields anyway. Like, I only need the ID because I recreate the thing from the ID, so I only need the ID anyway. But for some reason, it cannot handle the other two fields. Weird. Or can it not handle, like, wait, maybe it's, let me try something. What happens if I do? I do this. Because the ID is from the class ID entity. And it still works. No, this doesn't work. Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. So if it does it automatically, it works. But if not, it doesn't. What happens if I use this method? But when I go automap, it does. That's the strangest thing. That's a really weird quirk. That's... what? What's the difference between map ID member and map ID property? Let's try, maybe that works. I doubt it. No. The auto map seems to do something different. Strange, really strange. Weird. I mean, that's really, really weird. What happens if I completely ignore this? What happens? Can you do it then? I guess it works. Probably don't even need the... I guess... let's get rid of that. Make sure the database is empty. This. And test if this works. Now I go ping all, should not ping me. No. Ping on. Now it pings me. Now I restart the bot. It will load the thing from the database. And I go ping all. They work. Okay. And how does it look in the database? The ID is saved. Yeah, it saves the ID in the ID field. So for some reason, or okay, the ID, it seems like the ID property is always being persisted or always being mapped, but with some special logic. And as soon as I do it manually, it doesn't work anymore. Like, it's not even automap, because the automap is probably just ignoring it as well, because the automap is only going over properties that have a getter and a setter, and the ID doesn't have a setter, so it just ignores it. So there's some special logic in the mapping that takes the ID anyway and maps it to the underscore ID field in the MongoDB. And for some reason, I can't map it manually because it will complain about member info being ID entity, which I don't really understand that error message. It's a little weird. I'm not going to worry about it right now because I don't have it. Anyway, that works. In that case, let's amend the last commit. And push those changes. A little strange, definitely. Well, it works. What I actually wanted to show, though, I didn't switch back to code. Well, whatever. I was not doing. I'm going to show it to you in a second. Let me first show you what I actually want to talk about. So I was talking about events, and so I wanted to explain why I record, like why I trigger on event received, or command received and command handled. So when I put in join, it will put me in the list. If I do join again, it will not do anything. It will show the same message, but it doesn't do. It actually does something, but it doesn't change much. And so what I can do is when I when I when I split the event logger command events. I can find it. Like if I split it into command receive to command handle, I can check if the user got added in between. Like did he like I wanna persist it or trigger the event when the command is actually handled, because then I have all the information, but I have to compare it with the state before the command was handled. So I can check, is the user in the queue, in the matchmake queue when the command gets in, and is he in after the matchmake queue, after the command is handled. That's why I did split that out. But yeah, that's the next step. It's not super important, but it's gonna be fun to have some stats to dig through. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to show you what I actually changed now in the data access handler. So I completely removed any map statements here, because auto mapping is not going to do anything. Like auto map is not, as I said, auto mapping is only the auto map method will only take properties that have a getter and a setter, and all those properties are getter only. So automap will just ignore them. So automap will not do anything, but it's still gonna map the ID, but it will do it differently when I would do it manually, which is really weird. But there seems to be a different logic going on. So there's obviously some special logic for the ID field, which makes sense because it has to map the ID, or it's a little. Like it tries to map the ID field to the underscore ID field in the MongoDB thing, which is a required thing. So there's some special logic, and for some reason that special logic works while my manual logic doesn't. So if I try to do it manually, it just fails, which is really weird. It's really weird. Don't know why that is, but whatever. It works for now. So yeah, gonna wrap it up now. Gonna have to go to bed as well. So this went better than expected. Like a bunch of people actually showed up. Surprised. So cool. So this might be happening again in the future, I guess. We'll see. So yeah. Is there anything to say? Not really. Thanks for watching. Have fun and see you next time.